It started as a $3.50 traffic ticket and ended as the most important Supreme Court decision of the decade. 9 justices, 0 dissent. One ruling that just rewrote how the Second and Fourth Amendments work together. This wasn't just a case about guns or police. It was about how the government sees you, armed or not. And what the Supreme Court just decided changes everything. If you carry, train, or care about freedom, this is the case that defines the next generation of gun rights. Welcome to Firearms Rights Advisor, where we cut through politics and bring you the truth about the legal battles shaping your freedom. Let's break down the 9-0 ruling shaking America from courthouse to Capitol Hill. Chapter 1. The shocking 9-0 vote no one expected. In one of the most divided political eras in U.S. history, the Supreme Court did something unthinkable. They agreed. All of them. Conservative, liberal, moderate, unanimous. Justice Thomas and Justice Sotomayor, two minds that rarely align, stood side by side in agreement. The message was crystal clear. The constitutional violations were so blatant, so dangerous, that ideology didn't matter anymore. This decision united a fractured court and exposed how deeply your rights had been eroded without your consent. But what triggered this historic moment wasn't a major federal case. It was a routine Texas traffic stop, one that spiraled into tragedy and changed American law forever. Chapter 2. The traffic stop that rewrote American law. It began with a toll road violation worth less than $4. Officer Roberto Felix pulled over Ashton Barnes, a man accused of unpaid tolls caught by an automated camera. But what happened next unfolded in 5 seconds, captured on a dashboard camera that would later become Supreme Court evidence. 5 seconds. A command. A panic. 2 gunshots. A simple stop became a constitutional crisis. And when the case reached the highest court in the land, the justices weren't just reviewing what happened. They were confronting how the entire system had been judging police force for decades. Chapter 3. The moment of threat doctrine exposed. For decades, lower courts have used a doctrine called the moment of threat analysis. It meant judges only looked at the exact second an officer said they felt fear, not what caused the situation or what came after. This twisted rule became a shield behind thousands of excessive force cases. From 2010 to 2024, the Fifth Circuit used it over 400 times and sided with law enforcement 94% of the time. That means if an officer created the danger through reckless behavior, it didn't matter. As long as they claimed fear in the final second, the courts called it justified. That legal shield nearly erased your Fourth Amendment protections entirely. And it got worse, because it began bleeding into Second Amendment cases too. Chapter 4. When being armed meant being guilty. In the last decade, courts began ruling that simply possessing a firearm, even legally, was enough for police to treat you as a threat. Data shows that in 78% of excessive force cases involving lawful gun owners, judges ruled that just having a gun gave officers reason to shoot first. It didn't matter if it was holstered. It didn't matter if you were carrying legally. Lawful gun owners were being treated as criminals in waiting. The justices were alarmed because it meant one thing. The right to bear arms had been twisted into the reason to take your life. Chapter 5. The training crisis nobody wanted to talk about. When the court dug deeper, what they found was shocking. Across the country, police training programs were teaching officers to treat every armed citizen as a potential threat, even in states with constitutional carry. FBI data revealed a staggering imbalance: 8 hours of constitutional training versus 168 hours of firearms training. Even worse, 67% of officers surveyed couldn't correctly identify the difference between legal open carry and brandishing. That means millions of lawful citizens were one misunderstanding away from tragedy because of bad training and broken assumptions. Chapter 6. The loophole that erased 2 amendments at once. When the investigation uncovered something even darker, police departments were using a constitutional loophole to bypass your rights entirely. They argued that because you were armed, your Fourth Amendment protections didn't apply. In other words, exercising one constitutional right automatically canceled another. Carrying legally? You could now be searched, detained, or even shot simply because your right made officers feel unsafe. This wasn't policy. It was a quiet rewriting of the Constitution happening at the local level. And the Supreme Court just slammed the door on it. Chapter 7. The bias nobody wanted to admit. When the justices reviewed over a decade of rulings, they found something chilling. Judges were 340 times more likely to rule against a gun owner than an unarmed citizen in excessive force cases. That's not law. That's bias. Court transcripts showed words like armed and dangerous used for lawful citizens, while unarmed suspects in drug crimes were called neutral or non-threatening. It wasn't just unfair. It was unconstitutional. And that discovery led to the biggest change in constitutional analysis in modern history. Chapter 8. The new constitutional standard. In a groundbreaking 9-0 opinion, the Supreme Court announced a new constitutional doctrine called integrated constitutional analysis. From now on, judges must evaluate all rights together, not separately. That means your Second Amendment right to carry cannot be used to undermine your Fourth Amendment right to be free from unreasonable force. Police training, policies, and conduct must now reflect both protections, treating lawful gun owners as citizens, not suspects. For the first time in U.S. history, your right to bear arms and your right to due process are legally linked as one unbreakable shield. This 9-0 ruling just built the strongest legal protection for gun owners in American history. The days of treating lawful firearm possession as probable cause are over. The Constitution now speaks with one voice. You don't lose one right by exercising another. Every police department in America must now rewrite their training manuals. Every lower court must now follow the new standard. And every gun owner now stands on solid constitutional ground. This wasn't a political win. It was a civilization win. Because when freedom is tested, the Constitution doesn't whisper. It roars. Stay informed. Stay responsible. Stay free. This is Firearms Rights Advisor, where we cut through politics and bring you the truth about the legal battles shaping your freedom.